was focusing more on the boxing instead of looking.
And it appears Davis' confidence is growing by the second.
Pedraza's not doing so well
for his professional fights.
Just with an eruption here.
The beginning of round 9 and round 8.
Shots.
Davis tags the body with the right. That left hook was...
Oh, that overhand right is coming from Jake Paul.
Experience. This is Pedraza.
Oh, shot counter.
From the problem child.
Netflix, to those of you joining us right here in Texas. Are you ready to make history? Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner, silver and chrome trunks. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall. He weighed in at 227.2 pounds. He holds a near perfect professional record of 10 victories, 1 defeat, with 7 of those wins coming by way of knockout. And he fights out of Dorado, Puerto Rico, by way of Cleveland, Ohio, USA. He is the multi-talented superstar who bridged the gap between social media and professional boxing. Boxer, a content creator, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a promoter, and the self-proclaimed of boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the problem child, Jake El Gallo Paul.
Boxing fans, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Atlanta, Georgia, 89 3/4 pounds with a sensational record of 24 wins, no losses. He has 23 big wins coming by way of knockout. Introducing Gervonta Davis.
16,500 were on their feet as they watched Davis. And this fight is over!
Boxing's most explosive knockout artist steps into the ring with combat sport's biggest disruptor. The world stops. Gervonta "Tank" Davis versus Jake Paul isn't just a fight. It's a cultural earthquake shaking the entire boxing universe. One punch can change history. And both men believe they're the ones built for the moment. Fans are asking, has Jake finally taken a challenge too dangerous? Or will Tank become the next mega PPV king? Stay tuned, because this war is personal. Welcome back to Boxing Edge, the home of real boxing breakdowns, knockout highlights, and high-energy fight predictions. Today, we dive deep into one of the most controversial, explosive, and globally hyped potential super fights in combat sports. Jake Paul versus Gervonta "Tank" Davis. We're talking fight power, game plans, fan chaos, press conference fire, and the massive stakes ahead. One fighter built through YouTube fame, the other forged in championship blood. Legacy, money, pride, everything is on the line.
What does he have to do with this?
Let anything, you know what I'm talking about. Let anything. Nah, I don't have to say it right now. Don't worry about it. I don't got to say it up here. Let anything happen. And I'm going to show you and him.
In shape, 145.
Yeah.
In shape. You know what I mean? So this is different from a Crawford coming up to 168, but we know his walk around weight is probably 170, 180.
The fight that I couldn't believe, that was too insane and honestly just baffling to think would be a real fight in 2025, reminds you that combat sports are the craziest sports on the planet.
Tension skyrocketed during the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul press event, transforming standard media promotion into a viral marketing storm. Davis lost composure when asked about avoiding top-tier contenders, while Paul capitalized on controversy, leveraging personal drama for massive engagement and brand exposure. The chaos intensified until event moderators restored control, amplifying online monetization potential.
Box. And truly, when people run back this press conference, all the shit talk, all the fun, they're going to be like, wow, this kid really is doing something monumental in the sport, and he's actually insane boxer, and I'm going to show that this guy who's been doing it his whole life has been doing it wrong his whole life.
What'd you say, Tank?
He said he gonna outbox me. Whoop-de-doo.
The one thing, when you have a fight of this magnitude, especially with Jake, because his appeal has been global. For you, Tank, do you think this is one of those fights where now all of a sudden you can show your boxing skills on a global scale to maybe people who weren't interested in boxing? All of a sudden they say, well, who is this guy?
Yeah, it's actually like, you know, now that I'm looking at it now, it's just like, I don't know, probably.
A major talking point in this highly publicized matchup was the massive size gap between the fighters. Many analysts and media outlets called the event unbalanced or a marketing spectacle. Davis, an undefeated lightweight champion, faces a social media influencer turned boxer who competes at higher weight classes. Branded as an exhibition for global viewership and digital engagement, the fight sparks ongoing debate about legitimacy, brand value, and business strategy within the modern sports entertainment market.
The fight, but yeah, that was that. This time, Jake Paul is to take on Tank Davis. Tank Davis, he was recently in the news for being arrested for a domestic violence incident involving one of his kids' mother. He was alleged to have slapped her about the place. The charges were later dropped, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was when he was last in the news. What is interesting is just a couple of months ago, Tank Davis was saying openly that he'd lost his passion for boxing and that he wanted time away from the sport. There was speculation that he might even retire as he was experiencing extreme mental fatigue from boxing, depression, and there were mental health concerns over him. However, I guess the opportunity to earn a truck full of money, fighting a completely worthless exhibition fight against Jake Paul, was enough to make him change his mind about boxing. Funny that, isn't it? But you know what? I'm not even going to waste your time or mine critiquing this utter nonsense. Suffice to say that this so-called fight we're talking about is an exhibition, and it pits Jake Paul, who is a cruiserweight, by the way, weighs in excess of 200 pounds, and Tank Davis, who is, he was the WBA lightweight champion, who weighs in at about 135 pounds when he fights. So that's a disparity of some 65 pounds. In old money, that's about 4.5 stone. There's also a significant difference in height. Jake Paul is roughly, 6'1", 2. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" at best. So, there's a height disparity there of some 8 inches. And once again, this is Jake Paul showing total disrespect to boxing, in my opinion. Once again, continued to pimp out the sport for his own financial ends. And worse still, the powers that be in boxing allowing him to get away with it and facilitating this utter bullshit. And meanwhile, what's even worse about this is that meanwhile, the WBA lightweight title that Tank Davis should be defending against Lamont Roach in a rematch. They fought.
From the very beginning, the face-off was anything but friendly. Jake Paul, standing at 6 feet 1 inch, towered over Gervonta Davis's 5 feet 5 inch frame, a striking visual that fueled viral marketing buzz and boosted audience engagement. Paul capitalized on the size gap as a promotional investment, claiming his superior reach and power would generate dominant returns in the ring. Davis, the lightweight champion, countered with confidence, promising that his elite speed and fight intelligence would neutralize the size advantage and protect his brand value in this global boxing spectacle. Keith Thurman highlighted a striking irony. The critics attacking Gervonta Davis are actually boosting his financial value. These same voices who constantly downgrade his performance still purchase tickets, stream his matches, and increase his digital engagement. They claim his boxing lacks quality, yet their constant attention enhances his brand visibility and market reach. Thurman emphasized that even negative publicity generates audience retention, monetization, and social media traction. Ironically, every insult fuels Davis's online growth and long-term profitability. In essence, their criticism becomes free marketing, turning hate into high-value promotion.
Happy with Tank. First off, don't watch Tank. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? You support it, then what you doing? You can't not support and support at the same time, right? So if you're a boxing purist, then this fight with Roach is really more for you. It's going to be more up your alley, you know? If you just like all entertainment, all fights, all hypes, all everything, then you're going to want to tune in to the Tank and Paul show there, you know, because that's all for entertainment. Was it for entertainment purposes only, right? It's just say like somewhere in the small print of the promotion for entertainment. Don't do this at home, kids. You know, so fine.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer for entertainment purposes only. You know, so you know, it's money-making purposes only. You know,
it's clear that Jake Paul understands marketing psychology and digital engagement. The press conference was engineered to drive viral growth and boost brand value. From the staged humor to the confrontational jabs and legal teases, every moment fueled online monetization. Analysts noted it felt less like a sports presser and more like a high-revenue entertainment production built for clicks and views.
I've seen that Jake will kind of bounce in between doing these entertainment fights and then, you know, trying to push toward his goal of you know, ingraining himself in the sport of boxing, and kind of does both of them. So it's kind of a weird place to be, because he wants the respect of the boxing fans and the boxing hierarchy and hardcore boxing people, but at the same time, he'll gain some of that and then lose some of it. It's like a seesaw of his fights. Like one fight, like, okay, that's a real fight, or that's a real fighter. He'll go and he'll win the fight. You know, Julio Cesar Chavez, real fighter, maybe past his prime, whatever, but Jake goes and wins that fight pretty easily, and then gets a lot of respect, gets a lot of the boxing hardcore love. And you have these talks about him fighting Anthony Joshua, and that was going to get even more respect. More people were like, that's fucking crazy. What are you doing? Myself included. That seemed like a massive risk, but a lot of people were like, okay, fair play. Anthony Joshua, that's a real heavyweight. Jake wants to fight him. He's a psycho, but fair play. And then you announce this one, and it's like, well, that's the same thing people have been saying about Jake for years, so it's a weird spot to be in for him for sure. But I talked about this not being the first choice, and I don't think it was, because Coppinger reports next that talks for Jake Paul to face Anthony Joshua collapsed over network issues. Now, we had all heard the talks, and they were pretty public, from Eddie Hearn, from Jake. Nakisa Badarian, Jake's manager, was over in the UK on, I think, Sky Sports, talking about the fight and saying how it was a real
He even ranked Davis among the world's top 3 fighters, praising his elite skill, knockout precision, and marketable power. Tank is not only a world champion, but also a major brand in the boxing business. While Jake Paul, a YouTuber turned boxer, represents the entertainment economy. For a proven champion to face a low-experience opponent could devalue his brand equity. Smith argued that this fight is far beneath Tank's professional and financial standards, suggesting it could hurt his reputation and long-term business. Smith strongly criticized the growing trend of mismatched exhibition fights like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, calling them bad business for the sport's credibility. He urged Paul to invest his energy in real competition, not retired athletes or faded stars. Still, Smith acknowledged Paul's marketing power and massive audience engagement, noting his ability to drive viewership and brand value. Commenting on the Davis versus Lamont Roach bout, Smith praised Davis's discipline and championship mindset. By accepting a potential rematch instantly, Davis showcased professionalism and confidence, traits that strengthen his marketability and financial positioning in the billion-dollar boxing industry.
Paul is a professional. At some point in time, I don't give a damn if it's a light heavyweight. Beterbiev, Bivol, a super middleweight, Canelo, Mexican Monster, David Benavidez, somebody that actually has a reputation. The time has come for Jake Paul to step into the ring with a cat who actually boxes for a living and give us that fight. I appreciate the fact of him promoting. I appreciate him having the cachet as a former YouTuber turned boxer. I like Jake Paul. I respect Jake Paul. I'm just saying, because I like him and because I respect him, I want to see him in the ring. And I don't want to hear, I know his numbers are better, but then he gonna say, I don't need Canelo, Canelo needs me. Well, wait a minute. It ain't just about pop.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson issued a bold statement to Gervonta "Tank" Davis amid the viral buzz and pay-per-view hype surrounding his potential fight with Jake Paul. Stevenson called the move a disrespect to boxing's legacy and questioned Davis's professional credibility. Emphasizing competition, market value, and athletic excellence, Stevenson challenged Davis to face him instead if he truly seeks recognition and business-driven respect in the sport.
What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fight?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. He called cap on it. So if he won't call cap and say I'm not who I say.
Rolly Romero views the Paul versus Davis fight on Netflix as a powerful streaming event with massive commercial potential, especially among younger U.S. audiences. He believes while Canelo versus Crawford will dominate engagement across Mexico and Latin America, the Paul-Davis matchup will generate higher digital traffic and brand value in the U.S. market. Romero says both events expand boxing's global reach and monetization opportunities, benefiting the sport's overall growth. From a pure boxing perspective, he favors Canelo Crawford, yet sees Paul Davis as the bigger media investment.
I want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question, and I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win, because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
that weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like.
The upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown has drawn strong criticism from analysts who see it as a viral marketing event rather than true competition. Many believe the fight prioritizes massive revenue, digital engagement, and influencer monetization over skill and legacy. Critics describe it as a brand-driven spectacle designed for algorithm reach and ad profit instead of sporting excellence. To them, this shift reflects how modern boxing is evolving into a content economy, trading heritage and authenticity for clicks, sponsorships, and global viewership.
I'm not a fan of this matchup at all. You got Gervonta Davis, who's been eating county jail spreads for the last month and a half, and he didn't look good in his last fight against Roach, where he had a draw, but most people felt like he got his ass tapped, so he needs the money. Then you got Jake Paul, who gets to beat on a nigga a whole foot shorter than him and 100 pounds lighter than him. And I think this is just nasty work. This screams money grab. And then you know what? The fans lose in the end on this one. Netflix wins, Jake Paul wins, and Tank wins. We lose.
Former heavyweight contender Eddie Chambers delivered a serious financial and career warning to Jake Paul before his high-stakes showdown with Gervonta Davis, emphasizing that Paul's previous opponents haven't truly tested his market value or fight IQ. Chambers explained that Davis combines explosive speed, knockout efficiency, and strategic intelligence, traits that challenge both athletic and brand credibility. He highlighted that Paul's past wins came against aging or inexperienced fighters, while Davis operates on an elite level. Chambers warned that Paul must level up his performance analytics or risk losing reputation equity and long-term earning potential in the boxing business.
Something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what it's created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. He's gotten a lot of fighters and, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot. So I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing and what he's created. This is a little crazy right here. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out. So there's nothing that Jake Paul can do aside from make it extremely ugly by grabbing him and probably trying to throw him to the ground. I don't know what else, bite him. I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone. Now, of course, there is a size difference, a height difference, and all that, but he's just going to struggle so much landing a shot. It's just going to look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's going to look bad. Tank is going to be too fast. And the punch, I believe, I'm not saying it's going to knock him out but...
Promoter Eddie Hearn sharply criticized the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown, claiming it blurs the boundary between real competition and digital entertainment. He argued the fight focuses more on marketing revenue and pay-per-view monetization than athletic integrity. Analysts view it as a brand-driven event designed to boost engagement, online visibility, and streaming income. The massive weight gap, Paul at 200 pounds versus Davis at 135, has fueled backlash over fairness and credibility, with critics calling it a commercial spectacle. Yet others defend Davis, saying he's making a strategic financial decision that maximizes his brand exposure and earning potential within the evolving sports economy.
Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think? Sorry. So, I thought we were all unanimous here. Do you think that
shouldn't?
You think Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Jake Paul,
he's a little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment for walking forward.
Does this high-profile matchup between Davis and Paul increase boxing's market value or signal a financial decline? Share your insights below.